You know, in my house, we have a couple rules, but probably the most important rule, the one dearest to my heart, is there are no butterscotch allowed in my house. And it sounds like a weird rule, but when I was a little kid, I choked on a butterscotch, and so there are no butterscotches allowed in my house. Sayla was telling me about a rule that a family has that every door that they go through, even if the door's not shut, they have to knock. We're talking the pantry, they have to knock. The bathroom door, if it's open, they knock. They have to knock on every door in the house. And I thought that was kind of strange. I need someone who is kind of strong. And I picked someone who's sitting in their seat, not raising their hand. So I'm going to have you come up. I need to borrow you real quick. I'm just kind of curious what rules you guys have in your house. And can you do me a favor? I'm going to have you hold something. You're strong, right? Okay. Like 5 pounds is not too heavy? Okay. Oh, what did we do? We hooked it. All right, so put your arms out right here, and you're going to hold this for me. That's to protect your arms from the chain. And sometimes I thought rules were kind of annoying, so we're going to annoy our friend here. We're going to put some chain on. What are some rules you guys had in your house, or have in your house?
Like for us as little kids, we can't take like bottles
Okay, can't hurt your back. I like it. What else? What other rules do we have in your house? No running. Okay, who has no running in their house? All right. What else? What other rules do we have in the house? Orange shirt. No eating unless it's outside? Okay. No messes. All right. You don't have to clean if there's no mess. Green right there. No video games in the room. Good rule. Let's do a blue shirt over here. Okay. Smart. It's not too heavy, right? Okay. Right here. Limited technology. Good rules. Looks like we got room for one or two more. Right here, gray shirt. No playing soccer. That saves the windows and everything glass. I like it. We'll do one more. It's not too heavy. You fine? Right here, front row. I like that rule. No leaving the table messy. You're good, right? It's not too heavy. Is it light though? Sometimes we like to think as rules as being kind of cumbersome and they trap us. But I don't think so. I think rules are meant to help us. But wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could just simplify all the rules into one thing? Wouldn't it be nice if we only had one rule? And that's what our story today is going to be about. Don't worry, the chain's coming back in just a minute. Thank you for those wonderful muscles. There were two groups of people that wanted to talk to Jesus, and they didn't like the fact that Jesus was showing them up. They didn't like the fact that Jesus was wise. And so there were two groups of people. Can you be my first group? You come up here? Don't worry, it's easy. You guys are going to stand over here. And then, I need a Jesus. Jesus. He says, not me. Come on. You got to be Jesus. I need one more group. You and you. Okay. So who are you? Jesus. Oh, that's right. Jesus. You're Jesus. Okay, so I'm going to read from Matthew 22, starting in verse 34. Now, who do you guys want to be, the Pharisees or the Sadducees? Pharisees, okay. And you guys are going to be the Sadducees. Okay, so who's this? You're pretty smart? Okay, I need you to get your most, like the smartest face you can make. Like you're smarter than everybody in the room. Can you do that? Can you do that? Okay, because you're going to ask Jesus a question. Okay. Here's what happens. The Sadducees come along. They ask Jesus some questions. And Jesus, you need a wise face. Not condescending, very wise and humble. Come on, humble face. Like loving and caring. Just act like you're talking. No, to act like you're talking. You don't say, sup, bro. They didn't say that to Jesus. Just pretend you're talking. The Sadducees come and they ask a question. Jesus amazes them with their wisdom, with his wisdom. And they turn around and they're literally scratching their heads. So you guys can go sit back down. They're scratching their heads. They thought they were going to own Jesus. They thought Jesus was not going to have an answer for them. And yet Jesus blew them away with the wisdom. Then come the other group. And they had a question. And the question was going to be so smart, so profound, so good, that it didn't matter what the other group did. It didn't matter if the other group couldn't confuse Jesus. They were going to confuse Jesus. And so come up, pretend to ask your question, but you're going to read this verse right here. 23. Oh, we lost it. Went all the way to the top. Right. 34. Teacher, and 20 and 36. So read it nice and loud.
Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law?
So you need to understand something here. The Torah, this is what the Jewish people followed, had lots of laws. Anybody care to guess how many laws that they might have had? Paxton?
I say like 670.
Okay, I see what you're doing there, but somehow you managed to get pretty close. They had over 600 laws. Now, in my house, we had a lot of rules or laws. I don't know about your house. I thought the rules we had were too many. Can you imagine having 600? So they go to Jesus, and they want to get Jesus in trouble because different people liked different rules. And they said, Jesus, you tell us which is the most important. What's the best rule that you have? And then Jesus says, right here in the red,
You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind.
and now the smartest people, who they thought were the smartest people in the room, also walked off scratching their heads. What in the world? Thank you, Jesus. You can go sit down. Obrigado. Thank you. So there's over 600 laws. Sadducees come up, they ask questions. The Pharisees, they come up, they ask questions. And Jesus says, oh, you want to know what the most important law is? The most important law is that you should love the Lord your God. And then he goes into a second law. Does anybody know what the second law is? Love your neighbor as yourself. Well spoken, James. And so what does it look like to love God? If I love God, how can you look at me and say, that guy likes God, or that lady likes God? That lady, that girl loves God. What does it look like? Because I'm using the t-shirt. The t-shirt means, so you think maybe that if I'm serving, that means that I love God.
And also because if you are kind, you are reflecting Jesus' love.
Okay, so if we have kindness, that almost ties into the second law, which is that if we love God, then we should also love our neighbors. When Jesus told them this, it blew their mind because they thought Jesus was going to get tied in a knot. They thought he was going to be so confused by this, and they were going to corner him into making one of the groups happy and making one of the other groups angry. But it didn't. And Jesus blows their mind time and time again with this kind of wisdom. You know, we live on a farm, and a couple years ago when we bought this farm, there's a neighbor there. And when we moved in, there's a chain kind of like this one. It was a little bit bigger, and it had a lot of locks. Now, you might be thinking, it's one chain, you probably need one lock. But the neighbor had put about a dozen locks on this chain. This chain was on the gate that connected our properties together. And when we would show up, we would pull in the driveway, or we'd go to leave, we'd wave at the neighbor, and the neighbor would do this. He'd be walking around, and he'd kind of give us a side eye and walk and look and just ignore us. We did this the first day, the second day, the third day. We'd wave every day. He'd kind of look. One day he's out mowing, we offer him a Gatorade. We offer to help him do some fence work. Still, he sees us wave. We get a little bit more, and we get a little bit of a nod. And he had been hurt by whoever lived there before. He did not want to risk connecting with us. He didn't want to talk to us. He was afraid that maybe whatever confrontation he had before with the previous neighbor, he was going to have with us. And one day, he actually struck up a conversation with me, and we talked for like 35, 40 minutes, a very long time. And he goes inside. And the very next day, I hear the most terrible sound. It's a screeching sound. It's painful to the ears. It like made my teeth hurt just hearing it. And then I heard that. And Gene, my neighbor, was out there with a grinder cutting the locks off. Those locks and that chain had been there for so long, he didn't even have the keys to those locks. And I think just as a show of how much he disliked the person that lived there before, he would add new locks just to show how impossible it would be. And I know that because of the love we showed him, that he was able to take the chains off that. And did you know people are the same way? Sometimes we put up guards. Sometimes people will be a little timid or shy around us. But if we love God and we show that love towards others, just being kind, when they're rude to us, I didn't look at Gene ignoring me and say, well, fine, I'll ignore him too. My kids waved at him. They drew cards for him, for the neighbor and his wife. And we treated him with kindness. We treated him the way that God wants us to treat others. And what did he do? The chains came off. He was a completely different person. And that is the one thing I want you to remember. There are a lot of laws. There's a lot of rules. But Jesus made it simple. If you want to please God, he says, love me, love God, and love others. And it's easy to love others if you love God. And that's the one thing that I want you to remember. Everybody say one thing. One thing is love God and love others.